We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com.
Welcome to another edition of AV Rant. My name is Rob H., and this week I'm here with
Lee Overstreet, pinch hitting once again for Tom. How's Tom doing?
Right. I think okay. I texted exceedingly briefly with him today, so I know he's around somewhere. But he said it on the podcast last week. This was a planned absence this time, so I wasn't scrambling 5 minutes beforehand trying to wrangle Lee around here. I gave him a little bit of warning. Had a couple days warning.
I had a couple days warning. So yeah, I'm kind of ready. I'm almost, dare I say, relaxed and enjoying myself.
Yeah, so just before we catch up with Lee, I just wanted to reiterate how well I thought last week's Sofabaton X1S giveaway went. The three names that we randomly drew got in contact easily with all of those folks via email, got their shipping information. That's all been sent over to Sofabaton. So yeah, I haven't had like updates on what's shipped where and who's received what. I kind of doubt anything's been received at the time that we're recording this, because we had a weekend in between and things are shipping from China, so it could take a little while and all that type of stuff. But upshot being that yes, everyone has been contacted, everybody seems happy except for all the people who didn't win, but nobody actually emailed cussing us out saying how dare we not draw their name. So I think people understood how a random draw works, and yeah, again, we were just very pleasantly surprised by the number of entrants that we had, and congrats to the three folks who had their names drawn, and apologies to everyone else who didn't have their names drawn, but thank you all so much for the interest, and Sofabaton's happy and we're happy, and there we go. That was a great time last week. Yeah.
It was done by the book. Nobody could possibly complain. And even though you were doing it on a computer screen, in my head I was picturing like 1970s game show or something. Sure. Or maybe like, do you remember Press Your Luck?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yes. Let's picture like wacky screens like that while you were getting the random number, just beep, boop, beep, boop.
So yeah, we are going to have some more Sofabaton content at risk of becoming a Sofabaton centric podcast. But you know, when there's new product things coming out and all that type of stuff, then there's little cycles that go like that for a while. But before we dive into that, I haven't talked to Lee Overstreet in a little while, so let's catch up a little bit. What have you been up to, Lee?
Nothing crazy. Just we're getting to summertime. It's a big deal when you are the spouse of someone who works in a school.
Okay.
Because the end of year is coming up. Let's see, 2 more days. She's got 2 more days, and then we get summertime. And that's going to be fun and cool. So that's kind of the excitement at the moment. Today I took my mom to a little food bank thing and helped her get some food, and that was kind of fun and pleasant.
Okay.
I mean, slow because elderly mom with a walker. It was not a fast thing, but she's a sweetheart, and took her to get some food, and that was neat.
All righty. Well, there's that part of the day.
Yeah.
And
it was a chunk.
Yeah, as far as updates for me goes, yeah, gosh, I can't really think of anything particularly significant this past week. So yeah, I guess it's been a quiet time for Lee and Rob, but you know what? I'll take it. There's a potential union stuff coming up on my end that I'm not going to get into whatsoever, but that's all percolating in the background. We'll see how it goes. Right, it's the joys of collective bargaining and the back and forth and the posturing and all that goes on.
Good luck, solidarity.
Every 3 years, you know, it's it's a fun time letting the old contract expire and going months and months past and backdating everything. Yeah, good times. But nothing particularly to talk about on the AVRant podcast. So
I hope you all get what you need and deserve.
That's the hope. That's the hope. We'll see how it all goes. But yeah, so I guess with those things out of the way, why prolong things anymore? Both of us, Lee and myself, what we're gonna do now. So I won't tease everybody for too much. We're gonna do an actual live on the podcast. You probably want to see the YouTube YouTube version for this, because describing it audio-wise isn't going to be nearly, picture says 1,000 words in this case. We're going to be unboxing, each of us, a Sofabaton U3. This is the brand new model of remote that's going to be coming out from Sofabaton in the very near future. Okay, you're starting to hold yours up. I'll start to hold mine up. We both have boxes in hand. Mine
so let me
literally
describe.
Mine literally collected
for those
moments
who
before
aren't
this podcast.
Watching on YouTube, gosh, that's throwing my white balance off. It's a long, skinny box, and it looks very Apple-like. It looks quality. It looks very good quality.
The box is nice.
Yeah, you feel like you're getting something. I'm going to take my box cutter, and of course it's shrink wrapped with.
I've got you on the big screen. I'm over here with mine. I already took the shrink wrap off of mine, so that's not quite that much unboxing.
Okay,
but
hang on. Listen. Oh, that's
there you go. We just became an ASMR podcast. So I'll have to put the hashtag on there and get us some of those ASMR views. You're opening yours up. I'll open mine up. Just for folks to understand what's happening here on this episode, there went my instructions. This is in no way going to be a Sofabaton U3 review.
No, we're just looking at it.
We have been in contact. Yeah, so we can call this like a hardware preview, I think is a fair enough word. So it's wrapped in just a little plastic cover there.
It smells good.
It smells good. Okay. Yes, describe the smell for folks, Lee.
Oh, can y'all smell that? You know that. You know what I'm talking about, those volatile chemicals. Oh, well, that's good stuff. But no, it's very professional looking. I mean, this is not some dinky, cheap thing. So you've got your little
So I will say, as far now, we can't say for certain that this is exactly the box that everyone is going to get when these actually go on sale. These are I don't know if prototype is the right word. These are review units. These are pre-production, I guess you would say, pre-mass production units. So the box that I got, the molding that is holding the remote inside is plastic. That is unlike the X2. The X2, it's all molded foam and very cush and plushy and stuff.
Well,
X2.
When I say it looks kind of Apple-like, I mean that it looks professional. That's a nice quality box.
It absolutely is.
It's well printed. It doesn't look cheap or anything. This looks like a nice product. So
little white box inside.
It out of this kind of harder plastic that kind of what did I drop? Hold on,
I'm pretty sure the charging cable.
Rob.
Charging cables, USB-A on one side, USB-C on the other side. USB-C plugs into the remote. USB-A plugs into your charger. I am not seeing a little wall wart. Are you? Unless that's underneath the plastic.
No, I do not. But I'll just tell everyone that when you pull the remote out, it's in a soft little semi-transparent plastic bag that feels kind of nice. And then there's a packet underneath in the kind of hard plastic. And inside the little packet, is that what you were just describing?
Yep. That's the charging cable. So yeah, we can say this is a hardware preview. That's all it is. We can describe the feel, the physical feel, and some of the characteristics of just the hardware. But so
kind of hard to get out.
At the time that we're recording this, the actual like firmware and software, there is a beta firmware we've been told that's available only on iOS, which is not going to help Tom or Lee since both of those gentlemen are Android users. I am an iOS user, but after my last experience with the failed firmware updating of my X2 review unit, I am petrified to go with a beta firmware, and I think I'm entirely willing for when we're going to do the review to just wait for the proper non-beta firmware to be ready before I conduct the review, and we're going to have to wait on the Android software as well. So we're not even going to power these on. Both of us have a U3 in hand now, and not even going to power it on, but we can give you some descriptions of what the hardware feels like. So. Let me switch over so I'm the bigger screen just for a moment. You can see that. So I have an X2, which I didn't bring in my other U remote of that. But so this U3 is physically a little bit longer than the X2 because the U3 has a number pad, a physical number pad at the bottom of it. And that is essentially the difference in length is a nice compact number pad that's extending the overall length of the U3 a little bit. The width is very similar. So I think the U3 is maybe just a hair wider, and then it's a little bit thicker in depth. I'm not sure. Can we see that there? Something like that.
So the long length of it is approximately the short length of a piece of paper, right? So 8.5. What do we got here?
Yeah, 8.5 inches.
Yeah, 8.5, 9 inches, something like that. So it's quite a long, skinny remote, but I like the way this looks and feels. This is a good hand width, and I don't have big hands, and so I don't feel like I'm stretching to get to anything. My thumb reaches all the way across it. I can't wait to peel this. Ooh. Okay. Oh, did you hear that?
Okay. Oh, I failed to switch back to making you the big version of the screen, but yeah, I can take mine off here on screen. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go.
At the same time, listen.
Whoop. There we go. All right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we're not able to.
Good looking remote control at the very, very top, where the shiny plastic is around the power and the TV power button at the very top. At the top above the screen, I see a little bit of bubbling.
You know what? That is almost certainly the same as it was on the X2, where there is another removable layer.
Oh, is there?
I
don't want to pick at it too hard.
I know that's the way it was on the X2. On the X2, it had an outer with some writing on it that had a little tab that you pulled off, and then there was some what looked like bubbling on the screen, but there actually is another plastic layer. I'm not going to pick at it right now either, just in case. But yes, so that folks know, the screen on the U3, that is an LCD screen. It's not an OLED screen, but we're not going to light it up right now. This one is not a hub-based remote. It is not an activity-based remote. This is a load up. I believe they said it's at least 15. It might have been 18. It's at least 15 devices that you can load up here. And you sort of control them one device at a time, which honestly, there are people who prefer that, right? There are people who don't really love the activity-based scheme of universal remotes and far prefer the idea of, I want to control my TV, so let me control my TV. Now I want to control my AV receiver, so let me control my AV receiver. You can do that sort of thing on the X2 and the activity-based and the X1S as well, but to really make use of those remotes, it is activity-based. This one is a sort of one device at a time, but you can program macros and you can do a volume punch through.
So I was about to say, as long as that volume for the receiver comes through on each device mode, I'm cool with that. By the way, on the side of the box, it says supports up to 30 devices.
Well, there you go. I was dead wrong on both, but 30 is better. So there's no downside to having been corrected on that.
Since we didn't talk about what was on the side of the box, supports 30 devices, customizable macros, multi-device link, Air Mouse, Google Voice next to the Bluetooth icon, and it says up to 21-day battery life. So this is a device you're going to sit on a charger a little more often than average, I would think. 6,000 brands cloud library. That's kind of amazing. RF support and IR repeater compatible.
Yes. So yeah, there was that little sort of ball-shaped R1 infrared repeater that launched at the same time as the X2. That is also compatible with the U3, and I really like that because, yes, this is predominantly an IR-based remote. IR is coming out the front emitter of this remote itself. Like I said, it's not hub-based, so this doesn't have a hub even as an option or anything like that. It doesn't have a hub to send out commands from there. But if you say have some devices that are inside of a cabinet where the front IR emitter is not going to reach those devices, you can pair this up with that ball-shaped R1 IR repeater and have the IR command sent out that way. So it's, a little bit in between having a hub-based system and having a remote-only system. There is also a, this doesn't have removable batteries. It's a built-in lithium polymer rechargeable battery. You can, of course, just charge it with the USB-C socket on the bottom and the cord that comes with it. But there is an optional charging dock if you prefer to have a dock to stand this in. So that's a $30 add-on is that dock. Supposedly, when those are ready, we're going to get shipped review units of those too, but I'm not going to hold Sofabaton to that or anything like that. I'm perfectly fine reviewing just the wand if that's all they're able to send us. So, okay, let's see. Have we clicked any buttons? Have you clicked any buttons?
I have not pressed a button, but it feels like it has a nice little snap to it. By the way, when it comes to charging, thanks to Roku, I'm getting sort of used to plugging a remote in every now and then.
Right.
But there is that frustration of occasionally it's gone dead because it doesn't work. And now you've got to reach for your original remotes while your cool remote doesn't work for a little bit. So I might like a dock to just kind of always sit it on if that doesn't wear out the battery quicker.
Right.
Because I know any kind of lithium ion battery, it's often better to not have it sitting at 100% all the time and not
Indeed.
let it run down all the way. So there's always a trade-off there. So what I have to compare to in my life is the little Harmony remote. I forget the model number. It's the one that doesn't have any LCD screen. It's just
Probably
the
Companion. It might have been the Companion.
Maybe it's called the Companion. We've had it long enough now where I just don't remember. And it's just it just does what we need it to do. But it can't do some of the things I think this one might. And I'm kind of interested in, can it control some of my weird old stuff?
Right.
Now, does this learn? Can I aim another remote at this?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, because I mean the U2 that preceded it could do learning. So
okay,
I don't see that listed explicitly on the side of the box, but I would honestly be very surprised if it doesn't. I mean, IR learning we're talking, of course.
Yes, infrared learning. So if it can, then that would help a lot with some of my weird old devices. But honestly, I can't wait to see if this thing can operate my how old is it now? My 45-year-old Laserdisc player.
So here's the thing. Like obviously I don't think we blame Sofabaton if the 45-year-old Laserdisc player is not in their database, but if you get in touch with them, particularly if you're able to supply the original remote codes in some way, like...
I don't know if I have any code. It's going to be...
Well, I mean, you could do that through the learning process.
Okay.
You can
I
upload.
could teach it, then send it to them, yes.
Yes, you can, yeah. So, I mean, they are very responsive in terms of adding new devices to their database. I know that from experience. So, yeah, that's going to be something that I'm thinking. We'll have to see once we do the full review. Like I said, this is really just a hardware preview right now. But yeah, let's talk about the feel. So it is noticeably physically lighter than the X2. The X2 is a metal case. This is an all plastic case. There's no metal feeling case on the outside. I gotta say though, I like the feel in the hand.
I do too.
Tom might make the comment, there's no sort of ergonomic shaping to the back of this U3 remote. It is pretty much just a smooth rectangle. Whoops, that's not the thing I meant to put up there.
I wouldn't hate like a little tiny ridge or a divot.
Right, which is exactly what Tom has mentioned.
Yeah, like right behind the bottom of the LCD would be a cool place to have a little bump, just a little dip so that your finger would rest there. But noticing the weight of it, it looks like it balances from just above the OK button.
Yep.
The balance point. So it is almost physical. So you put your palm behind the navigation buttons and it fits just perfect.
It naturally feels like your thumb wants to rest on the OK button, which is a very logical place for your thumb to rest, is right where the directional pad and the OK button is. That's where my hand naturally wants to rest.
If you need to type in channel numbers a lot, you may not like it. Your
there's going to be a little bit of shifting down to get to the number pad if you use that. But I mean, they put it down there at the bottom in small because the number pad is one of the least used things anymore since we're sort of streaming centric. Most people are. And so I mean, one-handed control, if you are using that number pad, there's going to be some shifting back and forth. Even with my thumb resting on the OK button to get to, and now this is one of my favorite things on the X1S and the X1, when you're controlling the LCD screen itself, which is not a touch screen, we'll talk about that in a second, but when you're controlling the screen itself, if you've gone into one particular device and then you want to page back to get to the remote settings or switch to a different device, that sort of thing, the back button control for the screen itself on the old X1 and X1S was up at the top next to the off button up there.
Scoot, way up there.
Or it really became a two-handed thing. This you can do one hand because thank goodness the back button is now here below the screen where your thumb can reach it. But it is going to require a little bit of shift, right? If you go from the OK buttons under my thumb, I'm going to shift up a little bit to get to that back button, but I can do one-handed operation on this. I feel quite confident in saying that
even with my little raccoon paws, I can kind of reach the buttons under the LCD and down to the colored buttons. So those differently colored buttons down there make me hopeful that it can control even my old PS3.
Oh, it should be able to control the PS3, because it does. It does work with Bluetooth. This can be a Bluetooth remote. That one isn't a learning function. Bluetooth isn't learning. It does have to be in their database. But the PS3 was already in there for the old remote, so there's no reason why it wouldn't be in the database. Speaking of that screen not being a touch screen, this is going to work similarly to the X1 and the X1S. We have this scrolling wheel here. That is how you go up and down. There's only up and down. There's no left and right.
One more moment of ASMR. Here we go.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. That was the remote. One more time. There's your
I don't know
scroll wheel.
if anything was coming across there.
Buzz,
Honestly,
buzz.
all the buttons, the button clicks feel pretty much exactly the same as the button clicks on the X2. So that whatever buttons they're using underneath, it has that very same feel. There's no like rocking of the buttons. It feels like a solid up down push. There is a click, but it's not loud. It's just enough to really like you can definitely tell you've clicked the button, but and it's a little bit of firmness to it, but I like the feel of these buttons overall.
It's
this
a
is
pleasant
good,
little
solid feel.
pucka sound.
Yeah,
little
yeah.
pucka sound when you press it. Now, the number buttons at the bottom are more of a tappa than a pucka.
Like, okay.
And then the ones just under the LCD, similarly, a little bit of a tappa instead of a pucka.
But this wheel here, it does function as a button. You can click in.
You can push it in.
That wheel.
Okay.
So it's only up and down. It's not left and right. So there's going to be a list on the screen clearly. You'll scroll up and down to choose, highlight which item you want on the list on the screen, and then you click that scroll wheel button itself. And this definitely doesn't feel like enough friction on the button that it would be impossible to click and scroll simultaneously, which was a thing on the X1 and the X1S, where once in a while you would go to like depress the button and you would actually accidentally scroll a little bit up or down as you go to press, and that feels very similar to the old X1 and X1S.
The scroll wheel, that's not just for this device's LCD. This would take me down a long menu on my television.
Nope, it is only for this device's LCD screen.
Just for the device.
So
eyes.
basically,
From
this
the
section,
scroll wheel up, that all operates the remote.
The screen only, except for the button at the very top. They've actually labeled that as TV instead of off, so that's not a universal off, although I believe you can program it as a macro to be a universal off, but they've got that as labeled it as TV, that very top button up there. So yeah, okay. And then, the other thing is that I have no idea how it works because this is brand new for Sofabaton.
Yeah.
The middle button directly below the screen is a microphone icon, and this is supposed to work with the Google Assistant. And I don't really know how to test that myself because I don't particularly use the Google Assistant, but I do have an NVIDIA Shield, so there should be no reason why I shouldn't be able to try using it with a Google Assistant, but that's going to be something for me to figure out for review purposes, but there is a microphone button there. In the middle button right below the screen.
Microphone button you say is just for Google Assistant, it can't be translated to other devices.
The only one that Sofabaton has mentioned is the Google Assistant.
All right, that's fine. And right next to the microphone button that looks like an EKG, what is that?
Yeah, I believe that's the macro button. That should be the one for bringing up your list of macros that you've created. That'll be on the screen. You scroll through them with your scroll wheel and click the button to choose the macro and make it fire off. Well, now, one other interesting one is there is a button on the side. And you might be thinking, hey, maybe that's the backlight button or something. Nope, this, much like the X2, it has a gyroscope. So when you pick it up, that is when it lights up. Or if you click any button, that is when it lights up. It is backlit. The screen is going to light up. We're not showing that right now because we're not powering these on yet. But there is this little button, and it kind of looks like a little navigation arrow, and that is because this can function like LG's pointer remote thingy. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a little wand, like the Wii used to do.
That's right. Kind of similar to that. It's actually even more similar to the way the Switch controls work because it's not like there's some kind of little light sensor bar the way the Wii worked. This is all just based off of gyroscopic positioning control. But yeah, this should be able to like completely mimic your LG OLED remote and its pointer on the screen. A whole bunch of functions there. So yeah, the microphone is new and that pointer function is new. Haven't had that on Sofabaton remotes before.
I'll give away my age by saying that button on the side, the icon on it, looks like your little character from Asteroids, the original Asteroids game.
Fair enough.
The raster graphics little spacecraft. That's what it reminds me of because I'm an old nerd.
So, like I say, we can't really like give a gigantic thumbs up or thumbs down because we have not put this thing in use. Literally haven't even lit it up yet. And even when review time comes, there's going to be caveats because, like I say, the software is not fully finalized just yet, and so I don't want to be too harsh in judging anything. And I'm a little trepidatious to even do the firmware update until they say, okay, it's actually like ready to go. And, they're saying they're aiming for the end of this month, end of May. As we saw with the X2, 2-week delays at a time are pretty darn common. I'm not going to hold that against them if that happens, but the hardware is real. Both of us have it in hand. We both unboxed it on screen. I am liking the physical feel. The weight of it is definitely lighter than the X2, but it's a pleasant feel to it. And I mean, we can say what the price is now. They've got the price being listed. So the regular price on this is going to be $130 US, which honestly,
That's not bad.
That's not too bad.
No.
That is for the wand by itself. The charging dock is going to be $30 extra. The R1 infrared repeater, I think, is $40 on its own. So, you know, if you're kitting out the entire system, well, yeah, you're basically at $200 at that point. But, you know, if the remote by itself can do the job for you, $130 is the regular price. Okay, so we'll say that that's, for now, the end of our hardware preview of the Sofabaton U3, but it's not quite the end of us talking about Sofabaton just yet, because to go along with this review units now having shipped out, and, you know, obviously Sofabaton is hoping there will be interest from potential customers in the U3, they've let us know they are actually running an early bird pre-order. This is not a Kickstarter. This is through their own Sofabaton website, but you can actually go ahead and pre-order the U3 for $100 instead of the $130 MSRP. So it's an early bird sale that's happening now until the end of May, or I think they said May 28th is when that early bird is going to stop. So only a short amount of time from when you're hearing this podcast episode. But to get to that early bird deal, you do have to click through a link through somebody who they've given a review to. We count. So come to our AVRant.com, or in the description for this YouTube video if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll just have the link that'll take you to Sofabaton's own website, and you'll be able to take advantage of that early bird price. You'll be able to pre-order a Sofabaton U3 for $100 instead of $130. $100, that's almost like
that's fine.
Like,
that's
give
reasonable.
it a try if you have the least bit of interest.
That's not bad
good.
at all. I'm thinking about back in the year 2000, a close friend of mine bought a $400 Philips remote control, programmable remote control that had an LCD screen, a black and white LCD screen. And I thought it was ridiculous. $400 then is what, $800 now, 26 years later?
Definitely more than 400 anyway.
A lot more than 4, yeah. So that's a decent price. Now, just to be clear, this company is not sending us money.
No. I mean, they did send us these review units. We didn't have to pay for these review units. Want to make that disclaimer. Right. But yeah, no, they're not paying us money to do this. I mean, here's the thing. Like how we, Tom and I have praised SVS plenty on this podcast. It's like, we definitely, we do get in contact with companies. Dealing with the marketing side of a lot of companies is genuinely a pain in the neck. When companies like make it easy, then we're happy to talk about them. If we think the product, like, whether they were working with us in any way or not, when we think it's a decent product that people should at least consider, we're going to talk about it regardless.
Yeah, because I'm rooting for them. I'm big time rooting for them, because this is there's a market for this.
I think so.
And it's not being, and ever since Harmony went away, essentially, somebody needs to do this. And that's so right. We're excited, nerding out on this cool product that we want.
And I mean, they aren't literally the only ones, but I mean, $100 for this is definitely the lowest price of anything new that I've seen.
Sure.
that can do this kind of functionality. Again, it's not activity based, it's not hub based, but right. I mean, I have one of the older U2 remotes, which again, it's like device by device. But if you set up those macros, you can do pretty close to activity based. It's not exactly the same, but you can do pretty close with the macro functionality. Because I mean, honestly, most of the time, what are you doing when you go to a particular source device? You're turning on your TV and your AV receiver or your soundbar along with it. So it's not that different to say, okay, when I press power on for my Apple TV via the macro, just go ahead and power on my TV and my AV receiver at the same time. Like, that's not astronomically complicated. And I think that's going to be most people's use cases.
To be fair, this is going to appeal more to people who have experience in the past with your device-based remotes. And especially anyone that's ever programmed a learning remote, or you like to work with stuff and tweak it out how you like it. This is definitely going to be the remote for you. It's not going to be the remote for somebody that just needs to press the button that says Netflix, and then you watch Netflix and everything does exactly the right thing. It's not that exactly, but with some clever setting up, you could probably set this up where someone who wants that. So in other words, you got like a spouse or a friend or a family member who doesn't want to tweak it and play with it and set up macros, but you can.
Right, exactly. Well, yes, that's certainly going to be the case if I like I set up an X2 for my parents, and I'll have a little story about that when we do some more updates.
Okay.
But yeah, basically at first blush, this hardware preview without even having turned it on or anything like that, there's nothing leaping out at me about the hardware that's making me say, oh, giant red flag, definitely avoid this. Like, nope, it feels nice in the hand. It looks like it has the vast majority of buttons that I would want and need. I think it's going to be usable from the feel of it. So one last little thing on the U3 before we change topics slightly. Supposedly, if you do this early bird, again, to get the early bird deal, you do have to click on a link of somebody who's got a review unit out there. And there's plenty of channels that do. So we're by no means the only one, but we are one option. So you can, in our description or over at avrant.com in the show notes, you can click on the link that we have to take you to that early bird deal on the U3. Supposedly they are offering some free charging dock add-ons, but it's like a limited number, and it seems to like refresh each day. It's a very strange little thing. I'm making no guarantees that when you click on that link that you're going to get a free charging dock, but apparently that's like a possibility. So if you, what I'm getting at, honestly, the reason I'm saying it that way is if you click on the link in our description and it shows up with a thingy on the Sofabaton early bird sale saying you can get a free dock if you want, that's not a scam. Like that, legitimately, there is the possibility of getting a free dock when you go through
kind
the
of
link.
a maybe is what you're saying.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to guarantee that you're going to get one because I don't entirely understand the procedure for how many they're giving out each day and when it refreshes and that type of thing.
Gotcha.
And it seems to be shared across all the people who have the link that accesses this page, so it's not like it's exclusive to us, and I would imagine those are all gone very quickly every time they refresh. So yeah, all of that is a bit strange, but if you see a thing that says the charging dock is available as a free add-on, that's not a scam or a reason for you to wonder if the website is legitimate. Apparently that is a real thing. So talked oodles and oodles about Sofabaton, but not quite done yet because I have a correction to issue from last week. Last week we said that you could still get 35% off using our Tom X1S 35 discount code on the X1S remote.
And Tom loved that it was his name, right?
That's right. That's right.
He loved it.
Now, that is true for the Amazon affiliate link that we've been linking to for some time now. That goes back like over a month and a half. It's been that Amazon affiliate link. That 35% discount code has worked. It continues to work and is supposed to work until I think it's again May 28th or the end of this month or something like that. I don't know entirely for sure. But Sofabaton did say that they can do a discount through their own website because obviously not everybody's going to buy through Amazon.com. That Amazon affiliate link that we have is only for Amazon.com. It's not for other countries outside of the USA, although you can have it shipped from Amazon.com to many other countries, but then you got to pay a shipping fee. So you can do it directly through Sofabaton, but the discount that happens there is not quite as much. So it's basically like it ends up being 35% off the MSRP, but the price at Amazon is already discounted a bit. So then 35% off in addition to that. So the total price that shows up on the Sofabaton website for the X1S, again, honestly, just come to the link in our description or in our show notes, and then it's a slightly different promo code to use at the Sofabaton website itself. It's just Tom X1S, no 35 on the end of that. But that brings the price down to $135, which isn't quite as low as the price on Amazon.com. But I wanted to make sure that's clarified. And then just to be completely complete, you can still get a discount on the X2. So their flagship remote, the completely hub-based with an actual touchscreen. This is the only Sofabaton with a touchscreen is the X2. You can still get a discount on that. Again, this is only Amazon.com. It's our affiliate link. It's in our description. It's in our show notes. And there is a 15% off discount code for that. This one is, they had to change it up, and I don't exactly know where these letters came from. It's Thomas, so it's somehow Tom's full name. I don't know. We didn't say to do this. Our contact just chose to do this. It's Thomas WT, and I don't know why it's WT. But honestly, just come to our description and show notes because it's too hard to keep in your head from me just saying it out loud.
Just go to the show notes.
Bottom line, you don't have to pay full price for any of the Sofabaton remotes. You can get the U3, you can get the X1S, you can get the X2, all at a discounted price. All of that is in our show notes. All of it is in our description. That's the way to do it. All right, we have definitely talked enough about Sofabaton, but there you go. That was some fun times. So why don't I go ahead and say that this is AVRant? It's your home theater and AV questions answered. And to get your questions answered, all you have to do is email us. Our email address is question@avrant.com. That is by far the best way to get in touch with us. Email us question@avrant.com. You can also find us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/AVRant podcast. And of course, we are on YouTube, youtube.com/AVRant. You can get in touch with us individually. Tom is tom@avrant.com. I am rob@avrant.com. Unfortunately, Lee's lee@avrant.com is no longer working because Tom just never updated that, and he's never going to because it's Tom. And that's just,
Come on.
That's what's going on. But how
I
can folks
wait
reach
10
you?
more years to get the email address again?
Once we get to episode 1000, if that ever happens at this point, there's going to be changes afoot. So that's what's going on there.
I'm up to 12 and a half years now. I deserve an email address.
You had it for a while. You know?
Yeah, it was pretty special.
Got to smile because it happened, not cry because it ended. But if folks do want to get in touch with you, Lee, outside of this podcast, how can they do that?
Well, at this point, I just don't care what I tell people. I don't know what to say. Like the world of social media is so weird. I don't know what to tell you to do. It feels strange to keep talking about my EV Tesla themed account on X. Who cares? Especially because of the politics. So if you want to get on Blue Sky, I'm Lee Oversky. So
that'll work.
Find me there, Lee Overstreet.
You see his last name on the YouTube Chiron there. He's Lee Overstreet, so he likes the puns. He's Lee Oversky over on Blue Sky.
You remember how they ruined it for me on Twitter when they changed Twitter to X, and I was Lee Overtweet? It used to be the greatest username ever.
Because that one actually rhymed.
Like, if you're real bored, you can go look at the dozen videos that I uploaded to TikTok a few years ago. I guess you can find me over there. See if you can guess what my username is there. I'll just leave that for people to find. Somebody found me over there, and I'm like, oh, you really? You want to see the one where I was doing a filter where I was Madonna?
You'll have to work it out for yourself. It's such a mystery. But yeah, I'm on Blue Sky as well. I'm First Reflect as I am on all the social medias, but Blue Sky is pretty much the only one I peruse anymore. So that's the place to find me. All right, so yeah, why don't we hop into what we watched? Because Lee's been away for a while and he's surely watched something. So what have you been watching, Lee?
Oh, the big thing for me lately, I got on Apple TV. They got me. They got their little talons into me, and so I had watched the previous seasons of For All Mankind. Mm-hmm. And so this is the 5th, I think, season for All Mankind. And now they're on Mars, with a whole colony city on Mars.
I didn't actually know about that.
It's one of those things where you've watched 4 seasons, so you want to see it through, right?
Sure.
But I'm too much of an enthusiast of actual space sciences. Mm-hmm. So I'm watching this show like, that's not how it would be.
Okay.
And like, it's going to take us 100 years, if ever, to build anything like a city on Mars. You couldn't, no matter how excited the world got about space travel in the 1960s and 70s, if you put a ton of money toward it, you wouldn't in the 2010s have a city on Mars this extensive. I'm pretty sure. I mean, of course, who knows? Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and this time,
it is the fictional idea of if we just never slowed down the space race, then where would we be, right?
So if you're not familiar, For All Mankind, it starts with the idea that the Soviets got to the moon first.
Right. Yeah.
And then this turns it into a crazy space race. And like, what would have happened if? Yeah. And the first few seasons are pretty fantastic and feel very realistic. And there's a lot of cool political intrigue because it's the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union continues beyond 1991, I think was when it officially went away. So all that's very cool. But if you can get past some of they did very good in the first few seasons, making it all very sciencey. Okay. It's starting to get less sciencey and a little more crime drama.
Oh, crime drama, not even fantasy. Okay.
Yeah, like I'm not loving it, but I like the characters, kind of, sort of, and I just need to see it through. So that's
here comes
why I was
season 5 and 6. It's Dr. Lawyer Cop in space, right? So
yeah. So, and then also on Apple TV, I've been watching Foundation.
Yes.
And I figure I should watch it, even though I don't typically like these gigantic space dramas, right?
Okay.
Like I never liked Dune. I tried to watch Dune. It's too much. Dune is too much Dune. Like maybe it's my attention span, it's my weird ADHD, but Dune is too big and slow, right? It's too much. And so this is a little bit like that kind of vibe, that big, epic, the galaxy has a lot going on.
Grandiose space opera. Yeah,
over a long period of time. And it has a character in it from Halt and Catch Fire, which was a show I loved about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you know by now, Rob, that I do not know actor names. I don't. I just every now and then I see an actor I've seen before and I go, hey.
Yeah, he was also Ronan the Destroyer in the Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one.
Right. Well, now he's, Empire, right? Anyway, and also, I don't know if I ever told you this story. I actually communicated with Isaac Asimov in my life. Okay.
No, I didn't hear that story.
Yes. In high school, I wrote for the school newspaper, and every year we would write to famous people and ask advice for graduating seniors.
Okay.
And so when I was a junior, he was still around, and I wrote him a letter that said, hey, could you share some wisdom? Since you have all this experience writing, people might like to hear from you. And he wrote back, and I wish I had I still have the postcard somewhere in this house, but he wrote back on a provided postcard with postage on it. We gave him an envelope and everything. Yeah. And he wrote back and said, do not think a man wise just because he is well known. And signed it with his loopy, cool Isaac Asimov signature. And I think it's because I said, hey, could you share some wisdom? And but it's the greatest advice.
It's amazing that Isaac Asimov was able to be that concise, because he was not he was known to be verbose, let's say.
Yes, and that's all he wrote, and it's the coolest little postcard. I really should get it framed.
Yeah, that's cool.
I figure, well, since Isaac and I have talked,
right,
I should watch Foundation.
Okay.
And even though I'm married to a librarian, I don't really read many books, so I've never read Foundation.
Okay.
And so people who have and who love it and who are sci-fi enthusiasts, sci-fi book enthusiasts, will just hate me for this, that I've just decided to watch it just because. But I'm kind of digging it.
Okay.
I'm kind of digging it. There are times where you're like, really? But the scale of it's so big, and it's set in such a futuristic time period, and humanity's made it across the galaxy, that some of the sci-fi parts of it that I might critique if it's more at a human scale, like For All Mankind, I just kind of bleep over it. It's like, oh, we can go faster than light. Great.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a warp drive. I'm cool with that. Right. So it's not that, but it's very philosophical and big, and
right.
And I kind of dig it. I'm surprised I dig it. So I'm going to watch it through, which means Apple TV got me.
Yup.
And we started off with this promotional price so I could watch For All Mankind, but it's about to turn from $6 to $15 a month. And
well, if you're willing to just have it forget all of your progress, and you're able to just manually go back to that. I mean, there's always Apple TV promos. You just have to use a different email address and a different Apple ID, and you can create those. A little bit of hassle. You could do that.
Now I'm gonna watch it most nights until I get through with it. Like,
I mean, get rid of other streaming services until you've watched everything you want to watch on Apple TV, and then cancel that and go back to the other one. That's always the
disappointing thing is, though, when I sit down to watch a series, it's usually in the middle of the night when I can't crank it up.
Oh, okay.
So it's frustrating and weird. I don't know how to enjoy it more. I can't crank it up, and I don't want to sit there with headphones on. So, right?
That would be the other solution.
Yes, but my spouse is quite tolerant, and she sleeps like a rock.
Okay,
and so I can kind of get it up there where it says like minus 30 dB on the receiver. It's a pretty good little time. It's not rocking the house like I like. So maybe if I start watching episodes in the middle of the day, and God, I guess I could go to bed earlier. No.
Oh.
No. If you go to bed early, you lose.
With Lee watching Apple TV content, I just watched one movie this week. I watched Good Fortune, which was a fairly recent movie. Now, post watching it, I'm slightly torn because I didn't realize this was written and directed by Aziz Ansari. I knew it was starring him. I didn't know he wrote and directed. He is a little bit problematic, so there's that whole thing of, I'm going to have to separate the art from the person type of thing that's going on here.
It's getting to where everyone's problematic. I'm like, who's not problematic?
Someone who doesn't seem to be problematic, though, and is starring in this movie is Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
So he's in there, and so is Seth Rogen, and so is Sandra Oh and Keke Palmer.
Yeah.
Pretty good cast, good cast of actors here. Now, I did enjoy one user review description because the basic premise of Good Fortune is that Keanu Reeves is an angel, an actual honest to goodness angel. So there's that little supernatural part to this. But he is, as an angel, he's very well-meaning, but he's not particularly good at his job. That's the sort of basic premise of this thing. So Aziz Ansari's character is, he's a college graduate, but he is struggling to find work, doing a bunch of gig jobs and all that type of stuff, and things aren't going particularly well for him. And then Seth Rogen's character is like a not a full-on tech bro, but he's like a venture capitalist. Okay. Was seeded money by his parent, or particularly by his grandparents, as he was seeded money by that. And so Aziz Ansari's character and Seth Rogen's character, they end up meeting because Seth Rogen's character hires him as like a task rabbit, basically. And Keanu Reeves decides he's going to intervene more than he should and try and, basically teach both of these people a valuable lesson. It's not like teach them a lesson like a punishment. He's trying to teach these characters a valuable lesson, but he's not a particularly good at his job angel. So things go a little awry. So it's a fun premise. I liked one user review's description of, so this is a story of 3 Canadians trying to save an American. Because it's Keanu Reeves and Seth Rogen and Sandra Oh all have Canadian citizenship or were born in Canada. And
we need some help.
So I got a chuckle out of that one. But yeah, so this movie, it's kind of funny because there's a fair, not a lot, but like there's cussing in it and there's some adult content in it and stuff like that. Nothing like egregious or gross or anything like that. But it's you wouldn't describe this as a kid's movie, but the attitude of how everything is played out in the like learning of life lessons and stuff, it's played for humor. This is a comedy, but it's done in an almost childlike way. Like the moral is like it's very simple and it's not trying to be any deeper than exactly what it is on the face of it. And the dialogue is not exactly realistic, right? Like people are saying exactly what they mean, and it's not supposed to be like a fake world where nobody can lie or something like that. It's just everything is very kind of earnest and straightforward, and it doesn't have a lot of subtext. Like people just say out loud what they're thinking and doing, and they actually mean what they say. And the moral is quite simple, and so it's done in a very straightforward, easy to digest, very, very it's not going to make you overly think. It's not like it's super deep in any of its messaging, but it is humorous. I definitely laughed at a lot of Keanu Reeves scenes. He's being ultra Keanu Reeves in the way that he says his words. Like there's no mistaking that it's Keanu Reeves saying those lines. And then just as an actor, he is really, really good at portraying someone very naive. He's very, very good at it in this. It
has that look and sound, huh?
It absolutely works. He absolutely pulls that off. And when he starts getting a little bit down in the dumps because he's doing his best as an angel, but it's not going the way that he intended. It's like when he starts getting a little down in the dumps, it's like, it is very, very funny. So yeah, it's like, I enjoyed this movie. I got plenty of chuckles out of this movie. You have to be willing to go along with the tone of this movie, right? If you're expecting something like gritty and realistic, it's absolutely not that. If you're not going to be able to accept that, it's kind of childlike, but then there's also a bunch of cussing. It's like if you're not able to accept that tone.
Frankly, that's just a description of me, childlike with cussing.
Yeah, there you go.
That's just me. So I might like it.
But yeah, if you're willing to go along with it, it's like, if you're thinking this sounds like it has shades of It's a Wonderful Life, it absolutely does. And it doesn't shy away from that. It obviously knows it's paying homage to lots of other movies that came before it with this type of thing. And it's not, like I say, it's not delivering any kind of brand new message. But because it was written by Aziz Ansari, it's like, the classical things of, maybe if you got to see how the other half lives, you'd understand that not everything is so rosy. And then, I'll just spoil one little line where, Keanu Reeves is like, I thought showing him that being rich wouldn't get him everything he wants, but it seems like it did solve a lot of his problems. It's just like, it's that type of thing. It's just like that's about where we are. And so, yes, there definitely is going to be some eye rolling, because it is absolutely playing up a lot of the cliches in the current political, climate of, if you fall on a particular side, you might feel like it's poking its barbs at you a little bit. But I mean, it's all done so lightheartedly, so like I say, childlike, that I think it was doing that intentionally to try and shy away from, getting too much criticism on that, because it isn't trying to be a completely realistic world. But there we go. So honestly, if you're in for a pretty lighthearted and if you're able to just laugh at Keanu Reeves scenes and get some good enjoyment out of that, then I think Good Fortune is an okay watch. It was about an hour and 40 minutes, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. I watched this one on what the heck did I watch this on? I watched it on Crave, right? Yeah. Crave. I watched this one on Crave, which is not available in the US. That's a Canadian only streaming program. It's essentially where we get our HBO Max, or just Max now, or no, what is it? It's back to HBO Max now.
Service that spawned Heated Rivalry?
Yes.
I know too much about that show because I'm married to a female who is watching it.
In any case, Crave is not a audio-video powerhouse of a streaming service. You can technically get 4K on a very limited number of things on Crave, but almost everything is 1080p. There's no HDR. An exceedingly limited number of things have surround sound or Atmos, but a lot of it is just 5.1 or sometimes even just stereo. So, and this wasn't a movie that's meant to be some kind of a wild audio-video standout. So on a technical level, there's not anything that's like gigantically impressive. But yeah, you're just watching it for a cute, fun story and a few laughs along the way.
And speaking of like how I stick with shows and see them through, seeing Keke Palmer's name reminded me she was on American Idol this season.
Okay.
And that is something that for some ungodly reason I keep watching. I've been watching it now since 2003, I think is when I started watching it, right? 2003, 2004, somewhere around in there. So, I thought, why am I watching it, Rob?
And I'll just mention this here since
American Idol. Oh,
I'll just mention this here since I alluded to it earlier. I ended up reprogramming my parents' X2 remote because the receiver that they were using, it gave up the ghost. Its power supply just went kaput. So I am letting them long-term loaning them one of the many AV receivers that I am not currently using. So that's over there, and that required reprogramming the X2. So that was all done this past weekend.
Cool.
Okay, we got to crack on here because we got plenty of news and then we got questions. There's not a oodle of questions this week, so we're okay getting started on those a little bit late in this podcast, but we do have quite a bit of news to cover. So before we get to that, I want to thank our listeners of the week. Listeners of the week are people who have supported this podcast in some way. One way you can do that is by coming to our website, avrant.com, and over on the right-hand side of the desktop version, you will see a little cup of coffee there, and it says support AVRant, and that will take you to PayPal, where you can make a one-time donation, or in fact, you can sign up for a recurring donation through PayPal if you want to, but you do not have to have a PayPal account. If you want to give a one-time donation, you can just enter your credit card info. I don't know if anybody donated via PayPal because, as I always say, whenever Tom is away, only Tom sees the PayPal donations. Right. So we will mention those names next week when Tom is back, if there were any PayPal donations. But what I can say for sure is that you can also donate money to us through Patreon. Our address is patreon.com/AVRantPodcast, and you can sign up to make an automatic monthly donation there. And we have 121 patrons, so we're doing that right now. So a big thank you to all of you for the financial support. And then folks just send in notes of gratitude for keeping the podcast going. I read out a gazillion names last week, and this week we just have one to say because that's all we got via email, specifically thanking us for keeping the podcast going, and that was from Corey. So Corey, thank you so much for that note of gratitude and encouragement.
The only person in the world who's grateful this week is Corey.
That's gotta be it. No, but we really do appreciate it.
On Earth.
And a big thank you to everybody who continues to listen and send in your questions. So with that, let's get to some AV news, and I'll let Lee talk for a little bit here.
Let's do it. Apparently, it is new AV receiver week, which is cool. Yeah. And it just so happens that 3 different brands announced a pair of new products each, with each brand covering a different price segment of the market. So let's get into that. Mm-hmm. Yamaha, who I tend to like, is taking care of the entry level with their new RX300A and RX500A receiver models. They both have a new look for their front panels. It's very slick and modern. Large but differently sized volume and input knobs on either side of a basic LCD display with a few control buttons beneath. They've gone for a simple, smooth look with the Yamaha name badge replaced with just the small tuning forks logo, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I assume they're keeping the yellow-orange display? No?
It doesn't appear to be in the pictures. In the pictures, that is a white on black display. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
That's kind of disappointing because to me, that's iconic. I'm looking at a Yamaha receiver just to my right that I use in this office that I've had for a billion years. You know, it's got the cool amber colored matrix letters, and it looks really awesome. The RX300A is priced at $400 and tops out at connecting 5 speakers and 2 subwoofers. The 2 subwoofer pre-outs are just an internal Y splitter, so there's no independent distance or gain settings for those. And there are no speaker pre-outs, just 5 pairs of binding posts providing 70 watts per channel. But the RX300A does have a bit of a trick up its sleeve. It can fully accept and decode a Dolby Atmos signal. So you can set it up as a 3.1.2 configuration with upward firing or physical overhead speakers, but you can also configure it as 5.1, but with the addition of a pair of Dolby Atmos height virtualization channels. Mm-hmm. So you'll get the vibes of Atmos through your 5 speakers. On the DTS side of things, it only includes a regular DTS decoder, not even DTS HD Master Audio, and definitely not DTS X, but you can apply the DTS Virtual X up mixer to give an immersive audio upmix effect using 5 physical speakers. So you can do cool things with 5 speakers on this receiver.
That's right.
The back panel is very simple, with just a pair of RCA inputs and 1 each of optical and coax digital. There's an FM radio antenna, but no AM. Boy, poor AM radio really is starting to go away. It's kind of sad to me in a way. And it's 4 HDMI inputs and single output are all HDMI 2.1 and support 8K 60 and 4K 120, which would be adequate for gaming.
That's right.
It also does multi-point Bluetooth out, although the multi-point just means 2 pairs of Bluetooth headphones can be connected at the same time in this case. And it comes with a room correction microphone, but the actual YPAO name is conspicuously absent. So we're not sure what type of room correction program is actually on board. It would be weird if it wasn't YPAO. That would be weird.
It would be, and yet there is conspicuously no mention of YPAO. It just says room correction and includes a microphone.
Is very interesting.
The
RX300A does have Yamaha's trademark 5th foot in the middle of the chassis on the bottom. That used to be exclusive to the Avantage series, but here it is on an entry-level receiver. So rejoice, everyone.
That's right. You got a 5th foot. They mention how it's, like to make sure you damp vibrations. I'm like, what vibrations are happening inside of an AV receiver? What mechanical moving parts are inside causing vibrations?
I think they do that to make it look heavier and more substantial.
Right.
That's what they're doing.
I don't think there's a ton of heavy components inside of the 300.
It probably, if you looked in it, it would be shockingly bare. As things like this go nowadays. But that Dolby Atmos decoding and height virtualization on a 5-channel receiver is genuinely useful for customers who primarily use streaming. So that's pretty cool. That is not a bad entry-level setup, honestly.
You know what? This is going to be something that I predict I'll end up recommending because, I've talked about how I will definitely take 5 good speakers and then virtualize the overhead stuff rather than physically putting any speakers overhead, rather than using upward firing modules. I am quite impressed by the Dolby Atmos height virtualization. Okay. And so one of the issues has always been, well, if I only have 5 speakers and I'm buying a 5-channel AV receiver that has 5 amplifiers built in and doesn't do anything beyond that, all the ones up till now, you couldn't do Atmos with them. And that means on the streaming services, you are relegated to using a lower bit rate audio bit stream. You only get the highest bit rate available from Netflix and Apple TV and all the rest of them if you utilize the Dolby Atmos bit stream soundtrack. And it's like, so I only have 5 speakers. Why would I buy a receiver with more than 5 amplifiers? But in the past, if you did that, you weren't able to get the Dolby Atmos bit stream. So it's really cool to me that with the RX300A, you can have 5 speakers, 5 amplifiers, $400, but you can get and fully decode the Atmos bit stream, and it will simply virtualize 2 overhead channels while still utilizing the 5 regular speakers. I'm like, that's a pretty good way at coming at an entry-level system. I'm very happy to see that functionality.
Well, it really is. Like $400, that's like 3 steaks in the grocery store. So that's not...
And that's the full MSRP, you know. So once this thing shows up on like accessories for less and stuff, it's going to be a lower price than that. I'm like, I can definitely see scenarios where I would recommend the RX300A.
That's the kind of thing you could talk people into who are on the fence about even getting a home theater system other than a sound bar.
Yeah.
So that's a good price for that. The RX500A steps things up to 7 channels and network features for $600. The back panel is almost identical to the X300A, but there's an additional pair of speaker binding posts and an Ethernet port. That network connection provides access to built-in music streaming services that are controlled via Yamaha's new Audio Connect app. Naturally, with 7 speaker connections, 70 watts per channel, there's full Atmos and DTS-X decoding with support for 1 pair of physical overhead or upward firing speakers. So in this case, if that's important to you, if you want the full Atmos experience, then spend the extra $200. I can't imagine using the streaming service, though. Going through the trouble
the music streaming? Right.
Yeah, like to plug in an Ethernet cable for most people, like here it'd be easy, but for most people, that's annoying.
And
using Yamaha's app to stream music from streaming services seems weird when you can just Bluetooth in your Spotify.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing like a Wi-Fi antenna or what to put on here, so I think it might be Ethernet only. They didn't say that specifically, but I'm not seeing a Wi-Fi antenna on
that
this
would be
thing,
an interesting use case where you happen to have Ethernet handy from your router and you want Yamaha's streaming services other than the ones you've made your playlists on.
I guess it's that I don't have any external streaming device. I'm relying on my TV's built-in apps to do video streaming, and I'll rely on my Yamaha receiver's built-in apps to do the music streaming. That'd be the scenario, I guess.
You have internet, but you don't have a smartphone? I don't know.
In any case, that's the RX300A, RX500A, and I am impressed with the RX300A. I definitely see scenarios where I'll be recommending that.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a real good first step into home theater.
Yeah.
So next up, 2 new Denon AV receivers have the middle of the price range covered with the AVR X2900H and AVR X3900H. Denon did not change the front panel appearance at all, and outside of one major feature brought to the new X2900H, they didn't change much at all compared to the outgoing 2800H, X2800H, and X3800H models. So we're looking at barely any differences.
Yeah, visually and not any different. The back panels are the same. The features are almost identical, but there's a big change with the X2900H, which we'll obviously get to in just a moment here.
Yes. So that X2900H, the new one, is priced at $1,350, which is $50 more than the X2800H's MSRP. It's still a 7-channel receiver. It does have pre-outs for the front, left, and right speakers, but no other channels. And the 2 subwoofer pre-outs are just an internal Y splitter. 3 of its 6 HDMI inputs are HDMI 2.1 with full support for 8K 64K 120. The other 3 HDMI inputs are HDMI 2.0, and there are 2 mirrored HDMI outputs. The big feature update over the X2800H is that the X2900H can be upgraded to use Dirac Live Room Correction. That is a paid upgrade. Out of the box, it still comes with Odyssey Multi-EQ XT, but Dirac is now an option on the 2900. It stops as It stops as room correction, though. There's no option to add Dirac Live Bass Control or Dirac Active Room Treatment. Other than that, the only change appears to be official support for AMD FreeSync. Although, look, I did, as Rob challenged me to find additional differences,
Yes.
I asked Google Gemini for some help. And
well,
it
take it with a grain of salt then, but here we go.
Well, look, it seems to think that there's an upgraded DAC. So an improved 32-bit multi-channel DAC. Ooh, because we haven't figured out DACs yet.
I don't know about that.
We've been working on them for half a century. So
the 2800 already had different DACs than the 2700, not necessarily by choice. That was because of that fire that took out the manufacturing plant of the DACs that they used to use. So there was already a change. I don't know about that. I think Google Gemini might be hallucinating that one, but I don't know for sure. Could be true.
But I
also
found
might
it
not
fun
be true.
to ask AI what it thinks.
Sure.
And it did talk about AMD FreeSync, so it got that. And it says it has a backlit remote.
Okay.
And so that would be a difference.
I mean, it's plausible, but many things AI says are plausible without actually being true. So again, I don't know for sure, but that's plausible.
That could be all nonsense because it's AI. But it took about 3 million gallons of water to generate those wrong answers. So there you go. That's
at the risk of starting a horrible flame war, and it's not the way I mean it, but the HT guys are in Braden. They're doing a lot of like sort of playing around with AI. They're doing it all in like good humor and just having fun with it. But they did an episode where they clearly answered at least one, honestly two in that episode that I heard, where it was like the answers that like Ara and Braden were reading it for themselves, but it did not sound like Ara and Braden. It sounded like an AI generated answer,
right.
Like not AI generated voice, but that AI had written the answer that the two of them were reading aloud. I'm like, please don't make that your podcast. Like, don't
they
turn
were purposely doing it, I hope. Like,
well, yeah,
so.
but they didn't actually like disclose it in that episode that's what they were doing. It was just like, like there's no way that answer came from their brains. It wasn't their word. Like I've listened to the HT guys for a long time. I know the way that they speak, and it's like those answers were not from their own brains. That was clearly AI generated answers. I'm like, if you want to disclose that that's what you're trying out, that's okay. But they in that particular episode they didn't have the. I'm like, please don't let the HDTV and Home Theater podcast turn into let me AI that for you. Like that is not the podcast I want them to become. So.
No. See, like if they were just having fun with it, like I'm sitting here admitting how stupid it was that I looked it up on my phone. Since we were having a bit of a laugh about how it was barely any different, I thought I'd see what AI said. But like I use the feature of asking certain basic questions where I feel like it has a very good chance of getting it right. So far, that's all I've done with AI of any significance. Like everything else.
I mean, the thing we should be doing is trying this, writing our own software with Claude. I mean, that seems to be the most useful thing you can possibly do with it is the weird little edge cases that no big company is going to write the software for. Go ahead and see if you can, make your own app. That seems to be the most useful thing.
Everything that I can come up with that I would like to do that's more complex would require it running locally on my machine and looking at information that I have. And they don't do that yet, except there's one branch of some kind of AI where somebody over in Europe created something that will run as an agent on your computer, but it goes out and it uses something like ChatGPT, but it'll run on your computer.
Yeah, well, OpenClaw. Yeah.
OpenClaw, that's what it's called. Yeah. I'm sorry. So I'm not deep enough into it to just know that off the top of my head. But yeah, something like that sounds cool, but sounds super dangerous.
It is massively inefficient in the way that it does things.
And how much does that cost? Because it's like making you pay every time it uses.
That part I don't know. But yeah, in any case, I don't want any of my favorite podcasts to turn into Let Me Grok That For You. And so there we go. That's my soapbox.
Definitely don't grok it. And covering the high end of the market with new receivers.
Oh no, we didn't do the other Denon model. We missed out on that. We didn't cover the other Denon model. I'm sorry, I
moved along too fast.
Of course.
The other minor upgrade, the X3900H, as opposed to the X3800H, is priced at $1,850. Also a $50 price increase over its predecessor. And as far as we can tell, other than the addition of official AMD FreeSync support, nothing has changed feature-wise compared to the X3800H. You can ask AI and see what it thinks. X3900H still processes up to 11 channels, but has 9 amplifiers built in. There is no front-wide support. I'm so sorry, Rob.
I know.
But you do have the option of configuring the 11 channels as 5.4.6 in addition to 7.4.4. So that's very flexible if you want to have some crazy Atmos fun. Still a full set of pre-outs with 4 independent subwoofer outputs. And it still comes with Odyssey Multi-EQ XT32 out of the box. The entire Dirac suite is available as an option. Paid upgrade all the way up to Dirac Art if you want it. So it's all there if you need that. I wouldn't need that.
I've got to be honest. I should just mention that all of its HDMI ports are HDMI 2.1 on the X3900H. 6 inputs, 3 outputs, including a dedicated Zone 2 output. But I have no idea why you would upgrade over the X3800H to this one.
No.
It's possible I just completely missed something. I quickly perused through the manual, but I'm like, that was essentially a copy-paste job for the X3800H to 3900H. There's the official AMD FreeSync support. That was a definite change. But other than that, I can't for the life of me find any major differences between the 3900 and the outgoing 3800. So this just seems like, they're kind of on a 3-year replacement cycle at this point. And it was just time, but there wasn't really a whole lot that got added. We don't see Dolby Vision 2 support. We don't see, HDMI 2.2, of course, is not ready yet. So yeah, that one seems like a pretty straightforward number went up, but nothing else did.
If this causes there to be very good deals on the 3800,
exactly,
then that'll be a good thing.
Yes.
And you can snap that up. Now, as we get to what I was trying to get to too soon, covering the high end of the market. Although at pretty darn reasonable prices, as you'll hear in a moment, we've got Emotiva's announcement of their new LX series, which includes the LXR-11 receiver and the LXP-16 Pre-Pro. The new LX series does not replace the existing RMC1 Plus and XMC2 Plus Pre-Pro models. Emotiva is aiming the LX series at a bit of a different market by trying to simplify the rear panels and configuration options somewhat while still providing support for 15 speaker channels.
Yeah.
That's a lot of speakers. Look at Rob's eyes light up when he sees 15
I always like when you can go past 11.
Turn it past 11.
That's right.
The LX series has some stereo analog inputs, including a phono input and 1 pair of XLR inputs. But the new receiver and Pre-Pro are entirely digital inside. There's no analog pass-through, which is why the LX series does not replace the other Pre-Pros. But the outputs are still fully balanced. But we've kind of buried the lead here. Both the LXR-11 and LXP-16 come out of the box with the entire Dirac Live suite included. For no extra charge, you get Dirac Live room correction, bass control, and art. And you can also do the entire Dirac setup all from your phone or tablet because they include a measurement mic that plugs directly into the receiver or Pre-Pro rather than having to plug your mic into a separate laptop. So that's pretty cool.
That's pretty good. And then we're going to get to the prices, which is like, oh, that's pretty good.
Let's see what happens here.
Yeah.
The LXP-16 Pre-Pro is priced at $4,000. And when you consider that price includes the full Dirac suite and has 15 speaker pre-outs and 4 independent subwoofer pre-outs, that really does put it at a price advantage compared to all the other 9.4.6 options out there. So take a deep breath when you say $4,000, but then realize what you're comparing it to.
Well, yeah, I mean, we are talking about 15.4 channel support in here, which is not super duper common. And then other ones that can do that are, if you're looking at Marantz's, that's $8,000 is literally double the price. So, and the Marantz doesn't include the full Dirac suite. That is an additional at least $800 you're paying to add on the Dirac suite to that one. So it's like, hey, the price value here is definitely evident.
I mean, that is almost a tank of gasoline. Wow.
Right.
None of the pre-outs are assignable in any way, though. Yeah. That is part of Emotiva's efforts to simplify the LX series as much as possible. There are no additional zones, no options for bi-amping, no 2-way or 3-way speaker crossover setups, and no options for more than 6 overhead speakers. The labels for each pre-out are fixed and cannot be changed. Still pretty flexible though. There are both XLR and RCA pre-outs for all 15 speaker channels, but XLR only for the 4 independent subwoofer pre-outs. There are also only 4 HDMI inputs and 2 mirrored outputs. Again, no Zone 2 of any kind, but they are all HDMI 2.1 with full 8K 60 and 4K 120 support. Emotiva also has a full new built-in music streaming capability. Here we go again. And everything is controlled with a single app, including setup, control, and streaming. The remote is finally backlit too. How much you want to bet that built-in streaming is probably the same stuff on that Yamaha?
Well, I mean, it's the same services, but it's not the same software. This is Emotiva's own
No, I don't mean the same software, but you kind of get the same thing, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's Spotify, it's Tidal, it's Qobuz, it's all the same services, but they were pointing out how like with Denon AVRant, you have 3 separate apps, right? You've got the Odyssey app is its own thing, you've got the Denon Control app for just like doing remote things, but through an app instead, and then you've got the HEOS app for the whole house audio. Emotiva's is like it's all together in one unified app.
Is Plex part of that? I don't know.
No.
Okay, too bad. And then we come to the LXR-11. It is priced at $5,000. So for once, the receiver with amplifiers built in actually costs more than the Pre-Pro.
Yeah.
As the name implies, it has 11 channels of amplification built in, but it is packing a couple of surprises. While it has 11 amps and is named the LXR-11, its processing capabilities are actually exactly the same as the LXP-16. It can fully process up to a 9.4.6 speaker configuration. You'll just need to add at least 4 channels of external amplification via its RCA pre-outs to do it. The 4 independent subwoofer pre-outs are still XLR only, and the rest of the inputs on the back are the same as the LXP-16. It also still comes with the entire Direct suite as part of that $5,000 price, so it's definitely undercutting the competition, despite that $5,000 price. The second surprise is that all 11 channels of built-in amplification are Hypex in-core Class D amps. Class D?
From Emotiva, I know, right?
Wow, times are a-changin'.
They sure are.
The efficiency of those amps allow for a fanless design, which is wonderful, and it can output 100 watts into all 11 channels simultaneously. No 2-channel driven ratings here.
Yeah.
All 11, 100 watts. That is impressive. In terms of what's missing, there is no Oro 3D on board, but they do have IMAX enhanced. And once again, none of the outputs are assignable. So if you want the full 9.4.6 configuration, but maybe you want to power your front 3 speakers with external amplification, you'd actually need to add 7 channels. The front wide and top middle channels have to be powered by external amps. There's no way to assign any of the 11 built-in amps to those 4 channels. And then the front, left, center, and right channels have built-in amps assigned to them no matter what. And so you just have to forego those amps if you are doing something
That's
else.
right. Yeah.
And now the big warning. Emotiva says the LXP-16 and LXR-11 are in the final stages of product testing and that mass production has begun. But they are still awaiting final regulation approvals. Product testing is not actually complete, and some changes might still be necessary.
Yeah.
They say they're aiming for a quote-unquote summer release that technically goes to September 20th, right? Technically, if you're an astronomer. But we're all familiar with Emotiva and their optimistic plans at this point. So until the LX series is actually available in shipping, we would not recommend holding your breath for them. But prototypes have been shown. The hardware design is finalized. So hopefully they actually hit their target release date for once. We'll see.
Yes. But I'm pretty excited about, well, I'm not super excited about X3900H. Not that I think it's a bad receiver in any way. No. It's going to get recommended by us a whole lot once the X3800H disappears. But Lee was absolutely right. If you can find the X3800H on clearance, there is no reason to get the 3900H over that one. So that's maybe the only one I don't have excitement about. But
that's the best thing about it. It might make the 3800 cheaper.
Exactly.
That's great.
But these are all pretty darn cool. So I'm happy for AV Receiver Announcement Week.
I mean, I'm normally Mr. Budget, so you got to imagine I'm kind of excited about that cheapo Yamaha that's going to allow a lot of people to get into things. We got some comments.
Mm-hmm.
Infinite Gary wasn't about to let our Panasonic basement running gag die before Tom said he would cut it off next week. So this week he presents a Panasonic T400 electric typewriter.
Yup.
And then my favorite thing that he has that's Panasonic, the Panasonic R012 Mr. Thin portable AM radio. That's cool. When I was a kid, I would have eaten that up. I would have shown that off to everybody at day camp.
I mean, it literally is meant to go in like your breast pocket, right? It's exactly that size. It's a little pocketable thing.
Yes. I have some Panasonic stuff myself. I do have a pencil sharpener. I do have that pencil sharpener.
All right.
It's in the 70s room because it's from the 70s.
Yep.
And it's AC powered and it sounds like a drill.
I bet it sharpens pencils well, though.
Perfectly, dude. It sharpens pencil. That's why we keep it. Anytime I need to sharpen a pencil, just every once in a while, go in there and
Well, we mentioned how the Yamaha AV receivers have an FM antenna, but no AM antenna on those new RX300 and RX500A. So here's your AM radio. You gotta go back in time and get a Panasonic R012 Mr. Thin.
Did I brag about my 1932 AM radio?
No.
Recently as a gift, my wife's uncle, Uncle John, gave me a 1932, classic sort of, what do they call them? Cathedral shape, AM radio. And it's so freaking cool.
Oh yeah,
works.
those.
And so I kind of want to get a little AM transmitter and so that I can use my phone and Bluetooth to my 90-something-year-old AM radio. I think that'd be really fun. Anyhow, we answer questions on this show, Rob.
A few.
And how about we do that?
Let's shall.
All right, new questions for this week. First one up is from Nick. Nick appreciated our help a while back when he was looking to purchase a PS5 Pro. His TV is an LG C9 OLED, and his AV receiver is a Denon X3900H. So in order to get the maximum capabilities out of the PS5, including 4K at 120, variable refresh rate, and no chroma subsampling, either as RGB or YCBCR444. We said to plug the PS5 Pro directly into his C9 OLED, and then use HDMI eARC to pass the uncompressed 7.1 PCM audio or Dolby Atmos bitstream along to his Denon receiver, which does not have any HDMI 2.1 inputs. Furthermore, we said to set the HDMI input on his C9 OLED to PC mode, which is the only way to get it to accept the full RGB or 444 signal for no chroma subsampling. Only one of the HDMI inputs on his C9 can support that, but it isn't the eARC port, so everything worked out the way we said.
Hooray!
So now he's considering the purchase of a Nintendo Switch 2. He isn't actually the biggest Nintendo fan, but they've announced a few games now that have piqued his interest, so he figures he'd like to buy one before the price goes up in September.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, prices go up. I'm old enough to remember, Rob, when electronics prices would go down after things came out.
If any of the games you're interested in are Super Mario Kart World or Donkey Kong Bonanza or Pokemon Pokopia? Yeah, it must be Pokopia because that sounds like Utopia. If any of those three games, then just wait for June because they're bringing out that new $500 bundle where you can get one of those three games along with the Switch 2 system for $500. So that is a savings versus buying the system for $450 and then buying one of those games for either $70 or $80 that they're priced at. But if none of those three games tickle your fancy, you can go ahead and buy a Switch 2 system for $450 right now. In September, it's going up to $500 for just the console all by itself.
There you go. That's 4 steaks.
Yeah.
But similar to his PS5 Pro purchase, he wants to make sure he's going to get every last drop of performance out of the Switch 2, and that has him wondering if he's going to need an AV receiver upgrade. What, if anything, is he going to miss out on if he plugs the Switch 2 into his Denon rather than directly into his C9 OLED? As mentioned, only one of his C9 OLED's HDMI ports can be set to PC mode, so is there any point to plugging the Switch 2 directly into his C9 and once again relying on eARC to send the audio back down to his Denon receiver? Can he get away with simply buying the Switch 2, or is getting the most out of both the PS5 Pro and the Switch 2 going to require an additional purchase to update the capabilities of his system? I get what he's asking.
Yes. And so happily the answer is you don't need to buy a new TV or an AV receiver.
Right on.
Now, okay, realistically, there are virtually no games doing anything higher than 60 frames per second on the Switch 2. Which means that it can output 4K. That's all being upscaled by its NVIDIA processor. It's not rendering anything natively at 4K. It doesn't have that kind of power. But it can do the NVIDIA upscaling inside the Switch 2 system and output at 4K 60. So 4K 60 will absolutely pass through your Denon. No problem whatsoever. You could plug it into any of your Denon X3900H's HDMI ports, and it will absolutely work. The one little wrinkle is, technically speaking, the Switch 2 is capable of outputting 120 frames per second, but only if the resolution is capped at 1080p or 1440p. It cannot do 4K 120. It can do 1080p 120. It can do 1440p 120. And I'll just be perfectly honest, I don't know if that's going to make it through your Denon to the LG. It's not a bandwidth issue. The bandwidth is sufficient to pass that through, but sometimes supporting that higher frame rate at the lower resolution is not something that older HDMI 2.0 boards were all that good at. So there's the possibility. Now, there are exceedingly few games where that is even an option. Metroid Prime 4, that is one that can be output at 1080p resolution at 120 frames per second. So it does exist. There is such a thing as a game on the Switch 2 that goes beyond 60 frames per second. But realistically speaking, like, you definitely could plug it into the Denon as long as you're okay with 4K 60, which is, there's almost nothing that goes beyond that, then that'll work. Right. Now, you could still plug the Switch 2 directly into the LG C9 into one of its other ports because it doesn't require that PC mode to get the most out of it. Okay. It's putting out YCBCR no matter what, and it does have HDR support, but it's just HDR10. I will say the most confusing thing about the Switch 2 is the HDR calibration, because unlike every other video game console, they give you the same sort of patterns, right? It's like the little white starburst pattern on a white background, and they're like, click this until the one on the right disappears, but the one on the left is still visible, and then you've got the right amount of tone mapping going on, and it does that type of calibration. Now, on the PS5 Pro and on the Xbox Series X, I think you got something like 25 or 30 clicks for the total range. The Switch has 250 clicks. I don't know why, but it means it means that you're clicking and seeing no change, and you're like, what am I even doing here? But it's because sometimes you have to click it 118 times to get to the right level, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So look up Vincent Tio's on his HDTV test channel. He's like, here's how many clicks you need on your Switch 2 to get to these nit levels, and I am not going to go through that myself, so I'm glad that he was willing to do so and count the ridiculous number of clicks. So that is the most confusing thing. But yeah, you don't need to buy anything new if you're super worried about the 1080p at 120 hertz and you try it with it plugged into your Denon and that doesn't work. You can plug it directly into your LG, rely on eARC to get the audio back to your Denon, and yeah, you can do it all without buying anything new other than the Switch 2. Yeah.
Great. I hope he's not disappointed that he doesn't have to get any receiver.
Honestly, I wish I could say that 120 hertz thing doesn't even exist, because realistically, it barely does. And if I could just completely dispense with it, then I could say just plug it in your Denon and it'd be totally fine. The Switch 2 does not do variable refresh rate on external displays. It can do variable refresh rate on its own display when you're playing it in handheld mode, but it doesn't do VRR to external displays, so that's not even a concern.
All right. Let us move on to Bill. Bill is looking for a center speaker upgrade on a budget. His house was built in 1998 before living room designers included a good spot for a flat screen TV, and it was constructed with the studs 24 inches on center instead of 16 inches on center. So when he decided on TV placement for his living room, above the fireplace is pretty much the only location that made sense. That's happening to so many people. And since he didn't go for a particularly large TV or wall mount, he ended up reinforcing inside the wall behind the TV, since his wall mount was only designed to span a 16-inch on-center gap, something he didn't realize before he went to install everything.
Yeah.
And I've done an install recently of a mount. We talked about that here, right?
Yeah, the mantle mount above the fireplace. Yeah,
exactly, over the fireplace. So now, His TV is in a fairly fixed position just above the fireplace mantle, and that only leaves 5 inches between the bottom of the TV and the top of the mantle where the center speaker can go. Technically speaking, he could raise the height of the TV, but it would be a hassle. The wall mount itself would need to be raised, and if he does that, it will no longer line up with the reinforcement he put in the wall between the wide studs. So he'd either have to make another reinforcement or rely on wall anchors to hold the TV wall mount. His current center speaker is a very small Sony SSCN3000P from a 5.1 speaker package. It only has two 2-inch woofers in it, no dedicated tweeter, and it really isn't cutting it. Yeah, that's little. So we went looking for center speaker models that will physically fit. This sounds a lot like when I was asking you a while back.
It sure does. It's not that dissimilar.
It's not dissimilar. I got a little frustrated and decided that wasn't quite what the money needed to go to. But, so he went looking for a center speaker that fits, but he's also working with a fairly tight budget. He really doesn't want to spend more than $200. And if the price could be closer to $150, so much the better. He got to a short list of a Yamaha NSC210BL for $130, Klipsch R34C for $200, Polk XT35 priced at $280 but can sometimes be found in B stock form for $200. And then a couple of options that fit the budget but would require him to physically raise his TV mount, a Polk XT30 for $180 and a DefTech DM10 for $200 from accessories for less. He found some very inexpensive, like under $80 models that would physically fit from the likes of Mika and Cyan. Am I supposed to know those brand names?
I mean, Mika or Micah, I'm not sure exactly how it's supposed to be pronounced. That one's been around as a very, very budget brand, but the other one, Cyan, I'm not familiar with.
Don't know.
Anyway.
But just at a glance, those don't appear to be much of an upgrade over his current little Sony speaker.
Yeah.
In terms of the rest of his setup, he's got a Denon X2900H receiver, an SVS PB12NSD sub, a pair of Sony satellite speakers as surrounds, and a pair of floor-standing Optimus speakers as his front, left, and right. What's our advice to him for what to buy as his new center speaker? Well, there's always options.
Before getting to that, I just wanted to double check about that wall mount. Like on every TV wall mount that I've seen, like there are more than one set of like little mounting screws on the part that the bracket that actually goes on the back of the TV itself.
Exactly, yeah.
So I'm like, if there's any, like, it might be the case that he's got it as high as it goes before the bottoms start becoming visible, poking out from below the bottom edge of his TV, because he doesn't have a gigantic TV. Right. So it's not impossible that there really is no way to raise that TV up without moving the entire wall mount. But I just wanted you to double check, because like it is okay to move the bracket that attaches to the back of the TV itself.
Yes, exactly.
You can move that without attaching the part that connects to the wall itself. Mm-hmm. So you might be able to move that up a half an inch, an inch, maybe even more than that, without having to do any like construction changes. So that's just something worth double checking, I think.
Right on.
Yeah.
Check that first. So I see that Rob has already thought ahead here.
I sure have. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, one that absolutely leapt to mind because I think it beats the pants off of everything else at its price point in terms of sound quality, and that would be the $150 RSL CG23M. That is, like I say, it's $150 from RSL, so it certainly fits the budget. It is just an MTM design, but it sounds very good. It's got front slot ports, so having it very close to the wall is no problem. It doesn't have a rear port to worry about blocking or anything like that. It's available in both black and white with a nice trendy gray grill cover on the white version, and maybe on the top of that mantle you'd actually prefer a white center speaker so that it blends in a little bit more. The only catch here is that when it's lying on its side like this, the height is 6 inches. All right, so he said he has 5 inches, and this is 6 inches, which means that the bottom edge of that TV needs to rise up 1 inch to physically fit it. But yeah, in terms of sound quality for the price, like in my opinion, this thing is leagues ahead, and that's why I wanted to mention the check the bracket on the back of the TV itself. If you're able to nudge that up a little bit without having to do a big hassle of completely changing the part that connects to the wall, to me that's the obvious answer. Now, if you're completely not able to get that, out of the ones that you mentioned, I would probably opt for that Polk XT35. Out of all the ones that you mentioned, that would be my second choice. That one definitely doesn't require you to do any moving of the television or like that. But surprise, surprise, it's the most expensive one. The only way you can afford it is finding a B stock. So, but yeah, I can narrow your choices down to two. One of which you found yourself. One of which I'm introducing to you. The one I'm introducing would require raising that TV 1 inch to make it physically fit, and the other one would require finding it on sale. So
I think
there you go.
all the ones he found would be an upgrade from the tiny little Sony 2-inch.
I agree with that.
Drivers. So even if you got that $130 Yamaha, that's kind of what I'm living with for the past 20 years. So
sure,
not too bad.
Yeah. But I mean, to me, if there's any way to raise your TV 1 inch and pay $20 more than that Yamaha, like the RSL, to me, it beats the pants off all of these in terms of sound quality. Yeah. Right.
So it's good that he's on the right track, though. So any of that would be an upgrade. Yeah. Shall we move on to Corey?
Yeah.
Hey, Corey. Corey is asking a question on behalf of his brother-in-law. They both live in Canada, so please keep that in mind when it comes to prices and availability. Corey got himself an 85-inch Hisense U8QG, and he absolutely loves it. Great. According to our Tings, it rates a bit better than the TCL QM7K, but not as good as the QM8K.
Yeah.
And being priced at 2,500 Canadian for the 85-inch size, it checked all the boxes for Corey, and he has no regrets having bought it. The mini LED local dimming works really well, super deep black levels, and it can get so bright, which is a good thing since he's using it in a very well-lit room. So he highly recommended it to his brother-in-law, but his brother-in-law wanted something larger than 85 inches.
Yeah.
Okay, man, go for it. So he went for a 100-inch Hisense model. The thing is, the 100-inch version of the U8QG is priced at 5,500 Canadian, and his brother-in-law wasn't looking to spend that much. He looked at other Hisense models and found the 100-inch QD7QF selling for around 2,300. So he snapped it up. But, Corey's brother-in-law is bummed. The 100-inch QD7QF doesn't look anywhere near as good as Corey's 85-inch U8QG. The 100-inch is also being used in a very bright room, and it appears to have a matte screen coating, while Corey's U8QG has more of a glossy screen finish. I do prefer a glossy.
If you care about looking black.
Yeah, and I do. I can't stand a matte finish on any screen. I don't care what it is. I'll take a reflection. I'll shine a flashlight in it. I don't care. I do not want a matte screen. So the black levels on the 100-inch are not deep at all. The picture looks very washed out at all times, and it isn't bright enough for the room either.
Right.
Corey did his best to dig through the settings to see if the picture could be improved, but it's running the Amazon Fire TV interface. Which is a pain to use, yeah. And it seems to have a real lack of available settings compared to what's on Corey's U8QG. No success was had, and Corey's brother-in-law is not at all satisfied with his purchase. So what can we suggest? Did he somehow overlook some secret settings that will magically make this 100-inch TV look way better? Or is there no alternative but to return the 100-inch QD7QF and get something else in its place? Is there any other 100-inch TV at a similar price that will provide satisfying results? Sounds like that one's got to go back.
Yeah, I mean, I never like to give that type of news, but I mean, I've just got to be honest that there's no making that model of TV look as good as you're hoping it's going to look. And look, the thing is, how can I blame anybody who gets a recommendation, but most people pay attention to the brand, right? Like
exactly,
especially when it's a the number and letter salad like all of these model numbers are. So he's like, okay, Hisense. I know my brother-in-law got a Hisense. His looks fantastic. I'm going to go get a Hisense, but I'm going to get a 100-inch. And then you see the marketing and you see the logos on the box, and it's like, all the things are there, right? HDR, mini LED, quantum dots, like the QD in the name does stand for quantum. Like all the things are there. And you're like, and it's $2,300. Like, why wouldn't I get this thing?
Yeah.
Like, I cannot blame anybody for that. But like, getting a 4K TV doesn't mean that every TV looks the same. Getting a quantum dot TV doesn't mean that every TV looks the same. Getting a mini LED TV doesn't mean that they all look the same.
That's
and when it comes to the brands like TCL and Hisense, like you legitimately get very noticeable performance increases when you go up in their series, and the prices are commiserate with that. And they're not like just trying to pry extra money out of people. It's not like that type of like you're getting more for your money when you buy the more expensive TCL or Hisense. That is absolutely the case. And so, yeah, I mean, look, before you return the QD7QF, like, make sure that it doesn't have any sort of power saving, which is not in the picture mode settings. That's going to be like in the general settings. So make sure it's not in any sort of eco mode or power saving. But look, I can just tell you right now, it's not going to do it. Those black levels aren't getting any better. The matte screen is always going to look washed out in a well-lit room. You can turn on every dynamic thing. You can put it in vivid mode. Like you can goose the thing as much as you possibly can. Completely inaccurate picture. To my eyes, it would be horrible, but you can eke every bit of light coming out of it that you can. Turn on all the dynamic contrast and everything like that, and see if maybe he's like, oh, looks good enough now. But like, it just isn't the right choice. No. It's like there's no way to put it. So you got two options. You can either go down in size so that you can afford a higher model series. I mean, look, for right around the same price, you could get the same 85-inch TV that Corey got, right? We already know that 2300 versus 2500, but you know, like that's what we're looking at. But that is going down from 100 inches to 85 inches. So to stay, if you want to stay at the 100-inch size but get the kind of picture quality that you're going for, you're going to have to pay more. Like, I'm sorry to, there's no way around it. It's
just how it works.
That's just the way it is. So one trick, of course, is to look at a little bit older model. And another one is to look at open box and B stock. So you can find for $3,500, $1,000 more than you paid for the Hisense, QD7QF. But you can find the 2024 TCL 98-inch QM751G, right? So that's from 2 years ago at this point. It's $1,000 more than you paid. But this one, like those Arting's reviews said, like maybe it's not quite as good as the U8 QF or QG, U8 QG that Corey got himself. But like I don't think you'd be disappointed with the 7 series, the QM7 series from TCL. I think the picture quality on that 98-inch is up to snuff enough that you'll be quite happy with it. It is markedly better than the QD7QF. In the Hisense series, you really want to get to their ULED series of televisions where all the model numbers start with U, like the one that Corey bought.
That's right.
It's like that's sort of where you are. Now, if you can swing even a little bit more money, you can get last year's 2025's 98-inch QM7K. Again, we're looking at open box and B stock here, but now we're up to $4,400. This is Canadian prices, okay, not US prices. Right. But now we're like literally $2,000 more than you paid, but you can get it right up to date. And the QM7K is phenomenal. It's a fantastic looking TV. I would be shocked if you are not completely pleased with its picture quality, but you've paid $2,000 more than you paid for the first one. Now, the other thing is you could get to a ULED from Hisense without going B stock. This is the 2025 100-inch U7 QG, right? So Corey has a U8 QG. This is going one series down, but letting you get the 100-inch size, but for 4,500 Canadian dollars, right? Again, $2,000 more than you paid. But there's no other way around it, right? You are seeing what paying $2,500 for a 100-inch TV, you're seeing the results of what that looks like. And it's like, why spend every day when you've spent $2,500 basically looking at your gigantic TV, but going, I just don't like the way this thing looks. Like
exactly.
The black is gray. It looks washed out. It's not bright enough. Like something's got to give. That's not
you're going to hate it every day.
Either go down in screen size and sit closer and bring the TV closer to make the field of view the same. And then the price can stay, really quite the same, or pay more and get the actual picture quality you want. That's the only advice I feel good about giving.
Yeah, in that case, it just depends on budget. If you can't up the budget, go get the 85-inch TV. That's how it works out. That's just how it is. But can I just say how absurdly funny it is that we're talking about 98 and 100-inch televisions and they don't cost $90,000.
Definitely not.
Like that's amazing what's happening. So
and again, these are Canadian prices, right? So keep that. I'm like realistically, a very good 98-inch TCL for $3,500 is attainable. Like that is not at all unattainable. There are even less expensive ones, but they don't look anywhere near as good. So to me, that's the value champion is the QM7 series from TCL, in my opinion. But that U7 series from Hisense is right there with it. And there you go. Those would be the ones to look at.
Keep thinking about 21 years ago, we paid $3,200 for a 50-inch plasma.
Right. And that was American dollars.
That's American, 3,200 American, which today would probably be 6,000, something like that.
Maybe, yeah, could be.
Could be. Let's move on to Trevor. Trevor's got questions. Trevor has been using a Denon X4200W receiver in his living room for some time now, and he's been happy with it. So when he wanted to add some speakers in his garage, he found a Denon X1200W for sale, and he bought that just a little while ago. He already owned 2 of the first edition Echo Dots, so he plugged one of them into his X4200W, the other one into his X1200W, and that's made it easy to have the same music playing both in his living room and his garage at the same time. Now he would like to add a pair of outdoor speakers, and the most convenient hookup would be to run some speaker wire from his X1200W in the garage. Does he need to find another Echo Dot, or can he somehow use the Zone 2 capabilities of his X1200W to make this work? Will he need to split the output from his Echo Dot in the garage so that the outdoor speakers can be playing the same music at the same time? Does he need special speaker wire to run to the outdoor speakers?
Well, these are kind of separate things.
I guess they are 2 separate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
do that.
How does he have to hook it up?
Yeah. That first part first. So happily, the X1200W, because it really sounds like he just has a pair of speakers in the garage, and he wants to power a pair of outdoor speakers. And so the X1200W does have the ability to reassign its surround back speaker binding posts as a completely separate Zone 2. And on the Denon X1200W's remote, there are separate little buttons up at the top that are just dedicated to Zone 2. So there is Zone 2 power, of course, to turn Zone 2 on and off. There is a Zone 2 source. And so you can press that Zone 2 source button and make it the same source as the main zone, which is playing the speakers in your garage. So that's so you can have the same music playing at the same time. No need to split anything. No need for an additional source device. If what you want is the same music playing everywhere all at once, then you simply press the Zone 2 source until it has selected the same source, your Echo Dot in this case, as what's playing in the main zone, which is powering your garage speakers. And then there is a separate Zone 2 volume up and down right there on the X1200W's remote. So honestly, it's all the features you asked for, built right in, no splitters needed, and it's simply controlling Zone 2 separate from the main zone. Easy as that.
You didn't know how perfectly he planned this out.
Yeah.
Actually works out great. So the question I tried to include with the first one, does he need special speaker wire to run to the outdoor speakers? Well, not necessarily special, but if you're burying it in the ground, yeah.
Or even so, I would go ahead and get what is called direct burial speaker wire, which is rated for outdoor purposes. There's really no reason not to, because it's readily available and it doesn't really cost any significant amount more than, in-wall or other speaker wires. So I would point you to Parts Express. I would point you to Belden. I would point you to their quote-unquote underground speaker wire, but it is listed right there, suitable for outdoor and burial applications. Honestly, 16 gauge is almost certainly going to be perfectly fine. It works out to about 57 cents a foot. So I don't think that's an outlandish amount of money. And then if for some reason you're going 80-foot long runs or something like that, maybe you want to step up to 14 gauge. That's also available for about $1.05 a foot. So either way, not exorbitant amounts of money. This is only for one pair of speakers. So I would go ahead and get the proper rated, you can direct bury it if you want to. It's certainly going to be fine for using outdoors. Belden speaker wire from Parts Express.
There we go.
Yeah.
Any suggestions on which outdoor speakers to get? He spotted the Polk Audio Atrium 6 or Atrium 8 SDI, but those have some sort of mono stereo switch on them that he doesn't really understand. Any suggestions?
Yeah, so first of all, the Atrium 6 is just a regular two-way speaker, tweeter and woofer, and there's no special switch on there. But the Atrium 8 SDI, what that has is a single, it's kind of funny, the Atrium 6, despite the model number, has a 5 1/4 inch woofer. And then the Atrium 8, despite the model number, has a 6 1/2 inch woofer. woofer. I really don't like that they did that. But anyway, the Atrium 8 SDI has a single 6.5-inch woofer in each speaker, but then it has 2 tweeters. And so there's an option there. It has 2 pairs of binding posts on the back. Now, you can either just connect the speaker wire to one of those pairs of binding posts and then put the speaker in mono mode, and then the 2 tweeters and the woofer all play simultaneously like a regular speaker, except with 2 tweeters. Or you can connect 2 pairs of binding posts to the left and right, and then put it into stereo mode, and now it shares the woofer between both the left and right channels, but it plays the left and right signals out of the individual 2 tweeters, so you can kind of have a single speaker cabinet playing a stereo signal. That's what the Atrium 8 SDI allows you to do from bulk audio, but those aren't the ones I would recommend. Honestly, I don't think the price points make a ton of sense, because they're up around like $450 and $500 for a pair of each of those. So since you were willing to consider that type of price point, I'm going to point you to my favorite outdoor speakers, which are not cheap, but they're not crazy expensive, and they are pretty darn phenomenal. These have 8-inch woofers in them, and those are Dayton's IO8XT. Now, they are sold individually, so that $220 price is each. But you were willing to consider the Atrium 6s for $450 a pair, so this is $440 a pair for these Dayton IO8XTs. 8-inch woofer in these things. Phenomenal output and bass capabilities, honestly, for the price that you're paying. Available in black or white, mounting bracket included, all that type of stuff. So if you can, look up the dimensions. Be very aware of how big these are, because it is an 8-inch woofer in these things, and they are not small. These are almost PA speakers, and they play like it.
That is what they look like,
If you need output and you need efficiency and you need some bass, then these are my favorite ones to recommend. Because, I mean, we're talking outdoors. You don't have boundary reinforcement. If you're going to have...
neighbors are going to love you with those.
Right.
I like the looks of those, though, honestly. It looks PA. It looks like it's really...
It does.
Yeah. Looks like
it really is what they are. And the price is pretty darn reasonable. So those are my favorite. If you want physically smaller, which is a perfectly reasonable thing that you might want, I would point you to Outdoor Speaker Depots. You'd never guess that Outdoor Speaker Depot sells outdoor speakers. I would point...
wow.
Yes, surprise. I would point you to their AP650s. These, as their name actually implies, have a 6.5-inch woofer, which is very sufficient. $245 a pair, so these are the least expensive. These are pretty darn good sounding. They don't have the output or the bass of the much larger Daytons, but yeah, if what you're wanting is that more compact size, the mounting bracket is easy. They're available in both black and white, and they can power right off of your Denon receiver.
A lot cheaper. But if he's already willing to go in that $400 range, I like the looks of those Daytons. Suddenly,
the only thing is the physical size. They might not fit where he wants to put them.
That's true. Yeah. But really, can you go too big? As we have learned, the answer is yes. Don't get that 100-inch TV if it's not any good. All right, let's move on to Paul. Paul is in Canada, so we're going to talk Canadian prices and availability once again. His wife would like some better audio to go along with an older Sony TV from 2003 in her hobby room. That Sony TV only seems to have red and white RCA audio outputs. What TV is it from 2003? Goodness, I'm curious. Just come on, man, get another TV.
Even so, you're probably still going to want some external speakers. So
that's true. That's true. We'll do the speakers first. They're only looking to spend a max of 200 Canadian. So are there any inexpensive self-powered speakers that would be easy to connect and sound better than the TV's built-in speakers? There's a lot. Yeah.
Well, $200 Canadian, though, is definitely putting a cap on things.
Well, but we're saying better than the TV's built-in speakers.
Right.
And the
not a high bar to clear.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right. So my first thought was Fluence, because they are a Canadian company, but honestly, they're least expensive, the AI41s. They're $350 Canadian for a pair. So that kind of put them above the price that we're looking at. So one of my other favorite brands to recommend for self-powered speakers is Kanto. Kanto's YU model, which is smaller. This is definitely, it's sort of more meant as a computer desktop speaker, because these are fairly small 4-inch woofers in here. So you're not getting a ton of bass out of these things, but they do come with their own little remote, and you can connect a subwoofer to them optionally, so that is all there, and they are on sale for $200 from Best Buy, so they kind of fit all the things, unless you just need more output capability.
That looks exactly like the YU4 speakers I have in my kitchen. That mine have like the bamboo color to them pattern. If they are the same drivers and same electronics, I can highly recommend those. Those are really nice. I love mine in the kitchen.
I recommend the Cantos frequently. They're one of my favorites. So, you do have to get them on sale for Canadian price, and it's just squeaking under, but it is available. It is absolutely an option.
That's a good
guarantee
deal.
you these sound better than the TV's built-in speakers.
Yes.
Now, if you need something that can play a bit louder than these, because I don't know exactly what this setup is, so maybe you need something that can play louder. Edifier, I'm just showing the back of the Cantos here. So red and white inputs and a subwoofer output, that's all you need. So Edifier is going to be your low-cost champion here. For $200, you can get their R1700BT. It actually does have Bluetooth built in, so you can Bluetooth directly to these speakers without anything else. It does come with a remote. It does have a subwoofer output. It definitely has red and white inputs on the back of them. And yeah, that'll get the job done. Sure. And with a little bit more output capability for $200. And then if you're like, well, I wasn't really wanting to spend $200, Edifier does have their less expensive R1280T. It's over 125 Canadian dollars right now. These aren't exactly output champions, but they have all the connections you need. If you just needed the lower price, right? If you're like, I want about the size of the Cantos, but I don't want to actually pay $200, then yeah, I can point you to the Edifier R1280T. And you might like the looks of them, and they're going to sound better than the Sony's built-in speakers.
Yeah, they'll sound better than built-in. I start to worry though when you get to drivers that small, that might not be so great. But yeah, Canto, man, I love mine.
Yeah.
It would not be a podcast without Infinite Gary.
That's right.
What's up, Mr. Infinite? Gary bought his 2023 OLED near the beginning of that year. So in the span of 3 years, he checked and he's put roughly 6,000 hours on it. You can check. That's cool. How much longer can he reasonably expect it to last? His oldest OLED was in use for 26,000 hours, at which point it started showing dotted red lines all over the screen and the image went kind of bonkers. But that was a much older OLED. So has the technology improved significantly in terms of lifespan since then? I haven't even thought about lifespan on mine, the 2018 LG OLED, the B series that I have. See, it looks great. I can't tell any difference. Like maybe somebody could have measured a difference and proven it to me, but I don't even think about how long it's going to last. I turn it on and it works perfectly and looks great. So, I mean,
they're still quoting 20,000 hours to, they're saying that's half brightness from when it was brand new, but honestly, I think it's doing better than that these days. But 20,000 hours is pretty darn safe. Like you say, your oldest OLED went for 26,000 hours, and then it kind of gave up the ghost. I would bet dollars to donuts that the 2023 one will actually last longer than that. We know Gary is not goosing his OLED. He's going quite the opposite. He likes a dim image, so I'm betting you can last longer. So I can confidently guarantee you're less than 1/3 of the lifespan of this TV at this point with 6,000 hours on it. Yeah, so,
I think you'll get 15 years out of it with.
That's pretty really.
And at the worst, you start goosing it a little bit.
Maybe
at year 12.
Maybe. Yeah. There's no way this is not lasting you 10 years if you decide to keep it for that long.
Because on my LG, I haven't once had it cross my mind like, is that getting dim?
Yeah.
I haven't thought that at all. In fact, it'll still burn your eyes out on certain scenes. It's wonderful. So here we go on to Henry. Henry has a Marantz Cinema 70S slimline receiver, and he's currently running a 5.1 speaker setup. The Cinema 70S can process and power a maximum of 7 speakers, so he's been toying with the idea of adding a pair of height speakers. He didn't say exactly which speakers he's considering, but he says they are versatile and could be mounted up high on his side walls with them aiming down at his main seat. He doesn't really have any intention of installing in-ceiling or on-ceiling speakers, so side wall mounted height speakers labeled as top middles would be the plan. Labeled as top middles. All right. As we can see, the proposed placement is quite close to where his surround speakers are already mounted on the sidewalls. So is this worth doing? Yeah, my first concern would be that it's already right there with the surround speaker.
I'll give you one guess as what Tom Andrew would say to this question.
He would say, go buy 2 steaks instead of these speakers.
So I've got 2 thoughts on this.
Go see a concert instead of these speakers.
One thought I have is, do you have any other pair of speakers anywhere in the house or that you could borrow from somebody? Because prior to spending any money, Could you just sort of try this out? Maybe you get some ladders to prop the spare pair of speakers up. Like just try out actually having some speakers up there without spending any money, and then try the Dolby Atmos height virtualization, which your AV receiver does have.
Right.
And if you're wondering, how do I even activate it? Because there's not like a switch that says turn on Dolby Atmos height virtualization. It's play a source that you know is playing in actual Atmos, and then you choose the Dolby Atmos listening mode. Even though you only have 5 physical speakers connected right now, that will be an option, is choosing the Dolby Atmos playback mode, and then it just automatically is using Dolby Atmos height virtualization to give you the pseudo effect that there's some overhead sounds, even though you physically still only have 5 speakers. So compare the Dolby Atmos height virtualization to a trial pair of actual speakers without spending any money, and tell me whether you honestly think it's worth spending any money, because my inclination is that it is not worth spending money. I think it is absolutely worth using the Dolby Atmos height virtualization, because that costs you nothing.
There you go.
And I've been pretty impressed with it. I think it does a very reasonable job of, you know, like if you had proper dedicated in-ceiling top middles that were, you know, installed in your ceiling right where top middles should go, I will say that I think that is superior to the Atmos height virtualization. But we're already talking compromised placement in your scenario. We're talking these top middle speakers would be physically very close to where your surrounds already are. I'm like, I think the height virtualization is going to be enough. That is my genuine guess. But if you want to be absolutely sure, then borrow 1 pair of speakers and trial it out without spending any money. I don't think it's going to be worth it. That's my prediction.
To be honest, at this point in my life, if anybody asks me about Atmos, I'm telling them, unless you plan on putting real speakers on your real ceiling,
virtualize it, man.
Just virtualize it. See what you think. See if it changes your life. But to me, it needs to be real speakers on the real ceiling, to me. That's just me.
Yeah.
But I say that as a guy that's still listening to 5.1, right? Well, 5.2.
Sure.
But because I can't, there's nothing else I can do. There's nowhere to put, 7 speakers. I just can't get anything behind me in the.
Does your AV receiver, Lee, have Atmos height virtualization?
No.
I think yours was old enough that it didn't, right? So
When was mine?
That's the issue.
Sometime in the late 10s. I can't remember.
Yeah. So probably not.
No, I don't think it does. And
maybe you're in line for a not that expensive Yamaha.
It's so nice what I have now. It's so nice. And
also,
go ahead.
I do still prefer being able to virtualize 4 overhead speakers if at all possible, and these that inexpensive Yamaha that I talked about and the Marantz Cinema 70 that we're talking about here. Neither of those will virtualize 4 overhead speakers. Those will virtualize 2 overhead speakers. So even virtualizing, I'm like, if you can get the 9-channel receiver, but we're talking about a considerable increase in money to get to that point. Yeah. So there you go. What do you know? We answered all the questions. We're right at the 2-hour mark. This worked out swimmingly well.
That's right. We're going to hit 2 hours like we have to for the people that are in the 2-hour club. I'd feel so bad if we didn't hit 2 hours. Some people have workout routines, right?
Really should not be a requirement, but it's not a concern anyway. It happened by happenstance regardless.
No, there are people who run marathons while listening to us.
That's
and so the show has to be longer than 2 hours because there's only been like 2 humans beat that 2-hour mark so far, right? In a marathon, I think 2 humans have done it now.
I'm not familiar enough, but
I think
sounds plausible. Let's ask AI, and it'll just reaffirm whatever we ask it. So,
which blows my mind because they're running a marathon faster than I can run.
You're right. Yeah.
Just like 2 solid hours of hauling it. I can't believe
it really is.
Humans are amazing. I cannot believe that. When I hear about what people are, I've been in traffic much slower than that.
No kidding. Well, let's remind everybody. I'm just going to say, check our show notes for this episode. Check the description on YouTube if that's the way you're watching it. If you'd like to find yourself a discount on any of Sofabaton's current universal remotes, there's going to be a link and a promo code that you can use, whether that's the X1S, the X2, or an early bird offer on the brand new U3 that we previewed just the hardware of during this episode. Yeah, there's going to be links and promo codes. All of that is in the description and the show notes. And let's go ahead and thank our listeners of the week, the folks who supported this podcast podcast in some way, want to head over to patreon.com/AVRant podcast if you'd like to sign up for an automatic monthly donation. So a big thanks to our 121 patrons over there. If you want to do a one-time donation, come to our website, avrant.com, and click on the support AVRant cup of coffee image there, and do that via PayPal if you so please. And then, we really appreciate the notes of gratitude for keeping the podcast going. Just the one name this week from Corey, because we had such a gigantic list last week, but really do appreciate
Corey
that.
Corey is the only appreciative person in the world this week.
That's right. It's all disappeared now.
Everyone else is in a sour mood. They don't care. They're taking everything for granted. It's just Corey.
They didn't win a U3, only or X1S rather. They didn't win an X1S. Just the three names from last week did. So I can see it. Nobody's grateful anymore, but we're still grateful to everybody who supports this podcast. And big thank you to everybody who continues to listen and send in your questions. Speaking of which, if you'd like to get your question answered right here on this here podcast, the best thing to do is email us. Our email address is question@avrant.com. Far and away the best way to get in touch with us. So question@avrant.com. That's how you get in touch with us. So anything else before we go, Lee?
I think that's all I have.
Very good. Well then, on behalf of Tom Andre, this has been AVRant. My name is Rob H.
And I'm Lee Overstreet. Now go out and listen to something.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.